up here. There we go. All right. So I am going to be talking today on how to successfully pivot your in-person business into a virtual experience. Like I said, my name is Katie Wade. I am the event expert with KC Crew. So if you're wondering who KC Crew is, we are a adult sports league and event company that started in 2012 here in Kansas City. Traditionally, we host in-person sports leagues such as softball, kickball, sand volleyball, indoor basketball, indoor volleyball, pickleball, cornhole, all kinds of sports leagues to keep people active. And then we also host one-day events such as a zombie-themed pub crawl, which you can see there on the right. Some pictures of. We host an urban golfing pub crawl, 0.5K. That's right, you heard me correct, a 0.5K. So quick walk around the street and into a bar, what people are there for anyway. We also host cornhole tournaments and more. Since 2012, we have connected over 51,000 people across our leagues and over 6,000 people in our one-day events. So before I talk to about our pivot to virtual events, I want to just talk to you about why making a transition into virtual events is important. According to smallbusinesstrends.com, by 2021, video and web conferencing will account for 80% of all internet traffic. That's a lot of traffic on online web conferencing. That means both businesses and consumers are now very comfortable with communicating and interacting via a virtual platform. So as you can see, virtual is not going away, so it's best to get your start early. Also, 86 participants in online meetings report equal or higher levels of engagement compared to in-person events. That's because organizers can create customized features, add-ons. You can add one-on-ones. There's more time for Q&A. You almost get a face-to-face interaction with speakers or presenters. So there's a lot more, and there's a lot more options to keep people engaged throughout events. And I'm sure you're like, why are you talking about hosting more things virtually? Because Zoom fatigue. Yes, Zoom fatigue is real. People are constantly logged into virtual meetings now more than ever, but it's not going to stop, especially here in Kansas City. The new mandates, people are going back into lockdown. It's not going anywhere. So how do you create an experience that people will actually want to participate in and not feel like it's a big dread to attend? That's what I'm going to explain today. So before I get started, this is just some companies that we have helped throughout the event. Through our virtual events and in-person events, different companies that we've worked with. All right, so how did we pivot to virtual? Think back to when the shutdown happened here in Kansas City. I remember it very clearly. It was March 15th. It was a Sunday evening. My husband, who is the founder of KC Crew, was at our pickleball leagues at Hy-Vee Arena. And it was in the evening, and I kept hearing the drop in numbers for in-person events and gatherings. I think it started at 1,000, and then it went down to 150, then to 50, and then dropped all the way down to 10 people. And we were texting back and forth, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're down to 10 people. We can't continue our leagues. And we had an event coming up in a couple of weeks. There's no way that we can continue with these things. So what do we need to do? What are we going to do going forward? So the first thing that we did was we threw up a website called the Top 10 Ways to Have Fun at Home During the Coronavirus, as you can see there on the left. So we kept seeing our friends post things on social media. And so we borrowed those ideas and we threw them up on our website. So the different ideas consisted of doing a virtual art gallery tour, a neighborhood scavenger hunt. Lots of those happened in my neighborhood. People put up bears in their windows and different things like that, even online cooking classes. And then we added another site that, another page that was called Online Events that you can attend at home during the coronavirus. And those consisted of online workouts from local gyms, different local events that people were hosting. There was a teacher who was actually doing online readings for kids. And then we also posted our own events on there. So how we pivoted to virtual, our first event was a bingo. March 15th is when the shutdown happened. 5 days later, March 20th is when we hosted our first virtual event. As you can see here, we made a couple of posts. They didn't get a ton of reach. We had about 20 people actually sign up for our bingo. You can also see there's a post for our trivia. We tried to offer trivia a couple of times in the very beginning. Not a lot of people signed up, so we had to cancel the first couple of events. But our first and most successful event was a virtual bingo. So again, we started that on March 20th, 5 days after the shutdown. As I said, we had about 20 people attend. Funny story here, in the beginning, we were charging $5 a person for our bingo to attend. And then a couple of weeks later, it was very successful in the beginning, so we started offering more and more options for dates. We were up to hosting it 3 times a week. About 2 weeks after we started our bingo, we got a call from the Missouri Gaming Commission, and they let us know that we were illegally running an online gambling platform, and then we needed to shut that down right away. So we did. We have since figured out how we're able to continue to run bingo. So we do that, and it is one of our most popular events. Along the way, we tried several different options. So I'm going to tell you about everything that we tried because that's one of the important things, is to try all of those options and figure out what works best for you. So one of the events that we tried was a bunker karaoke. We've actually partnered with another company out of Oklahoma to offer this as an option. Where you would sing head to head with other people and just compete, or just there to have fun, not really a competition. It didn't do very well. We actually canceled it after hosting 2 of those events. The next event that we attempted was an event that we called Dinner and Flicks, where we watched a Netflix movie together, but before we did that, we cooked a dinner that had something to do with the movie that we were watching. The first one, the most successful one that we hosted, was Hook, the Peter Pan movie from the 90s. Great movie if you haven't seen it. But it wasn't super successful. We had maybe about 15 people interested, and I think only 2 actually showed up to the first couple, so we decided to cut it from there. The next event that we tried was a virtual networking. So we actually hosted an in-person networking event where people met at a location. We did some networking. Typically it was at a bar, so there were food. We had food provided for the attendees, drink specials, things like that. We tried to host a virtual one. Didn't do very well. As you can see, we canceled this one after 2 attempts. The next one that we tried was a bunker kickball, where we used dice. Didn't get a lot of traction. We partnered with another sports club similar to us for this event. No one with KC Crew or here in Kansas City signed up for this event, so we decided to cut it going forward. The next event that we attempted was called Friday Night Arts. This one was a lot of fun. So we were approaching First Fridays, and if you are here in Kansas City, you know First Fridays is a huge event, and we always look forward to every, spring through fall, and we weren't able to have that because of COVID. So we decided to work with the YMCA to put on a virtual arts show we called it Friday Night Arts. So for this event, we partnered with, again, like I said, YMCA. We brought on 6 different artists throughout the event to show off their work. They all got 30 minutes to have the show, have the floor, and talk about their work, their inspiration, and even offer up options for purchase. So this event did really well. We're actually talking with ArtsKC about bringing it back in a higher capacity. So this was a great event. This ran April through May every Friday night. And then again, virtual trivia, I mentioned it earlier, but virtual trivia, this is our second most popular event. It's probably equally as popular, maybe a little bit less than our bingo. We still offer this and bingo once a month for the public. Trivia is, you can sign up as a team or as an individual. We host this the first Monday of every month, and our bingo is the second Monday of every month. So this one had a great reach and was very successful. The next one that we attempted was a murder mystery party. So again, this is an event that we host in person typically and have a great turnout. We've had anywhere from 50 to 150 people for this event, 150 being the sellout. But for virtual option, we wanted, we did the exact same thing. We use Zoom for all of our events. So we use Zoom for this meeting. We use the breakout rooms in Zoom. There's a lot of great features. And we ran it the same way that we run our in-person events. And as you can see, we hosted 2 of them publicly. Didn't go so well, didn't have a lot of participants, but now we're offering this as a private booking. It was very popular the week of Halloween, and as we're leading up to holiday parties, this is a very popular event for companies to offer their employees. The next and most recent event that we hosted as a KC Crew event was Virtual Distilled, which is a whiskey tasting class, or not class, a whiskey tasting event that participants, when they registered, they got a whiskey tasting pack. And we worked with 4 local distilleries. We worked with Lifted Spirits, Restless Spirits, Tomstown, and Rieger. And all of those distilleries had a chance to talk about the whiskey distilling process and talk about their distillery while everyone got to taste the whiskey. So this was a lot of fun. As you can see, this had a great amount of reach, about 12,000 or a little over 12,000 is what that reached. We had about 100 attendees. So those are our main events that we as KC Crew have hosted. With our experience with hosting all of these, we have been able to host several other events for nonprofits as fundraisers, whether they be our bingo or a different, something that they want, their own kind of thing. We've been able to help people kind of figure out the best way to host a virtual event because of our experience with that. We just hosted an event for Don Bosco Center this past weekend. We've hosted a large event for Sleepyhead Beds that helped them raise over $12,000. We've partnered with Steel City Media, the radio stations here that are in Westport, to help them run their virtual brew and chew. So we've become pretty good at running the back end of virtual events. So that brings us to our next slide. If we have any Parks and Rec fans out there, that's where this comes from. I'm sure you've noticed. But basically, we have no idea what we're doing, but we know we're doing it really, really well. So yes, there was a lot of trial and error there in the beginning, which I'll get into, what works, what doesn't work. But what we've figured out works best for us. Again, we had no idea in the beginning what we were doing, but now we've got it figured out, and it's going pretty well. So what we've learned from hosting virtual events is think back to that Zoom fatigue. People don't want to sit in meetings and just hear people ramble. So sorry you're having to listen to me. Hopefully it's informational. But what people want is interaction. So people want to engage with other people. People want to be seen. So on all of our virtual events, we encourage people to turn on their videos. We encourage people to update their names. We encourage them to be chatting in the chat throughout the entire event. Also, people love to hear their name. So if they're on an event and they post a question, we'll throw out their name, like, oh, hey, Luke had a question, and the question was whatever the question may be. People love to hear that. So that's what we've added to our events in getting people involved in them. Next thing is virtual can be confusing. So we all know this. There's a million different platforms. There's lots of different options. People can get confused. Maybe one app has a capability that the other one doesn't. It can be confusing. So we over communicate. So that leads us into the next one. Over communication is key. So if you want someone to join your meeting via Zoom and they can't join until the event starts, send them those details. Tell them how to download Zoom. Tell them how they can test their microphone. Tell them how they can test their video. I would assume most people have used Zoom by now, but there are people out there who haven't. So you can pull all of the information from, I'm assuming every website we use Zoom for everything. So we have all of the information that we can send out ahead of time that tells them exactly how to download Zoom, where they can download from, where they can get all of that information. And then if you don't tell people, they won't know. So again, if you don't tell people to turn on their video or how to turn on their video, they're not going to know how to. Also, we explained to every single person how to update their name. So when we're on a Zoom call, we point to their, I don't know if you can see me or not, but I'll walk everyone through it. So when we're on Zoom, we tell everyone when they're on that Zoom, go ahead and go to where their image is, go to the top right-hand corner, click the 3 dots, and then click rename. And that's the easiest way to update your name. We tell them how to turn on their Zoom camera. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. We're very visual. We give visual cues so that way everyone knows where to see those things. And then one thing that we didn't know, so when we started running our events in the very beginning, we had someone reach out to us on an event and say, hey, can we hire you? We want to host a bingo for our staff. Of course you can. We can do that. So people didn't know that because we weren't telling them. So if you are offering an event for people, that they can hire you for, let them know, or otherwise they're not going to know that they can hire you for those. They're just going to think they can see you every Monday or the first Monday of the month for bingo. But if maybe they want to host it for their employees, so make sure that you let them know. We had a question: what lessons on market research can you share about testing ideas before sinking time and money into them? Yes, I will get to that in just a couple of minutes. So we'll go over that then. So what works and what doesn't? Defining the idea. So what works? Define the idea. Figure out exactly what you want to do. Again, it took some time for us to help figure out what exactly is going to work, what's not, what we want to keep on, what we don't. So define the idea. So bingo, is it a bingo? Is it a First Friday event? Is it a trivia event? Is it just a networking happy hour? Whatever it may be. And then name the event exactly what it is, with virtual or online. So don't get cute, as you can see over here, and what doesn't work. Naming the event something cute. Back to our bingo, we named it Bunker Bingo in the beginning. People were very confused. They're like, what's Bunker Bingo? In our minds, bunker. You're in your bunker. You're in your home. That's what we called it. People were confused. What does it mean? What does bunker mean? Well, so then from there, our trivia, we called it virtual trivia. That's exactly what it is. We did get a little cute with our virtual distilled, but distilled is the name of the event itself. It's actually an in-person event that we were working on. So we stuck with that name, but call your event or your experience or your meeting exactly what it is so people know. And then you can find partners that make sense for that event. So we, again, the first Fridays, we partnered with YMCA because YMCA makes sense. KC Crew, we're not in the arts realm. We wanted there to be an art offering. So we did offer an art event. So we went straight to the source, straight to the experts of art, and partnered with them for that event. We also we hosted a meet bingo. We borrowed that idea from Kelly's Westport Inn, and we hosted a meet bingo and partnered with the local pig. So we partnered with them. They gave away prizes and we hosted the bingo. So we both got exposure that way. Next thing is make sure your registration or sign up process is easy. The last thing anyone wants when they attend any event, whether it be in person, virtual, or whatever, is a difficult registration process. So make sure you use something easy. We use Eventbrite. It's very user friendly. If you're creating free events, it's free to use. And then the next thing is we do include small and fun prizes. So we just keep in mind that if you do offer a prize, people aren't there for the prizes, and if they are, they that's probably not the people that you want at your event. The reason that you're hosting these events or experiences is to keep people engaged and keep people connected. So offering something small, we offer $10 gift cards. Not super huge. We're all, but it's a nice little prize that people can do. And we were also working with local. We still are. We're offering a local gift card option, and to support here locally. The next thing is encourage and incentivize interaction and to turn people's videos on. So when we hosted our virtual distilled this past weekend, we gave away 2 bottles of whiskey to the people who were most engaged throughout the entire event. So that's just another way to keep people incentivized and turn on those videos, update your name, chat us throughout the entire event, ask us any questions you may have, let us know the whiskey, what whiskey is your favorite, let us know what you're tasting, have you been to these locations? So that's a good way to keep people entertained throughout the event as well. And then of course, the last thing on there is promote it everywhere. So if you're hosting a public event that you want people to attend, promote. Send it out to your email database, post about it, text about it, put it on your website. You can put it up. There's several different public calendars that you can post these events to as well. So make sure you get your event out there so people know that they can attend. And then what doesn't work? Not researching what people want to do. So if you're like, hey, I want to host this giant event, I'm just going to throw it out and hope people register for it. That's not always the case. People don't always just sign up because it's out there. So make sure it's something that people actually want to do. And I think I talk about it on the next slide we'll get to it shortly, but offer a free event in the beginning, offer it for free, see if people want, gauge people's interest, see if it's something that people are interested in. Again, don't name it something cute or creative that people have no idea what it means. You can be creative with your title, but just make sure it makes sense for the event or the experience, whatever it is that you're offering. And then don't necessarily work with anyone who asks. So just because someone wants to get their name out there doesn't make sense and it doesn't match your event, don't make that person fit into it. Don't make a circle fit into a square or whatever that saying is. The next thing is don't make the prize too big. So again, like I said, if you want people to attend your event because of the interaction and to keep people entertained. So if you're offering $1,000 for attending your event, you're probably not going to get the right people there. It's just the people who are going to want to be there for the money or for that giant prize, and they're not there for the right reasons. The next thing is make sure people have their videos make sure they have their videos on and they're interacting. Otherwise, it makes for a very boring event. It's very hard to engage with people who don't have their video on. You don't know if they're sitting there or if they just happen to log on and walked away. So make sure people have their videos on. I promise it makes for a much, much more entertaining and interactive event. And then again, back to promotion. If you don't promote it, people aren't going to know about it. So you can't just hope that people will find out about it. So make sure you post about it. So then the next thing is, what do you need? You need to obviously solidify your idea. So figure out exactly what you're going to do. Make sure you have it all figured out. If you need to test it. We tested our events. We tested Zoom in the beginning. We tested everything with our staff, with our friends. Do what you need to do. And then the next thing is partners and sponsors. Make sure if it makes sense, it's not required, but it's always a good thing to do. More people to post about it, get people to register, more markets to reach. So again, partners and sponsors is always a great addition on anything. And then make sure you have the good content and graphics. So if you're not, if you're graphically challenged or you don't know, you're not good at creating those, Canva is a great resource to use. It's free. They have a free version. Otherwise, if you have a graphic designer, great. Get some cool content. Or graphics out there. Also content, you want the event to sound enticing or the experience, whatever you're doing, make sure it's worded very well and clear and so people know what the event is. And then you need obviously a video meeting software. Again, we use Zoom for everything. I know there's Microsoft Teams, there's WebEx. So whatever it is that you use, those are on the more affordable end, but if you're hosting a giant conference, there's options for that as well. And then an activity registration platform. Again, like I said, we use Eventbrite. If you don't want to create an Eventbrite account, there's different options out there. You can use a Google form if you want. We create Facebook events. I encourage it for everything. Facebook is a great tool to use, great resource. You can create a Facebook event for free. And then if you want, you can put some ad spend behind it. And then a website landing page for the event. We do this on our website. Every event that we do has a landing page, so I highly recommend it. And then creating an email marketing platform or an email marketing program. We use MailChimp. So, and then optional recommendations are Facebook ads, local calendars, and even influencers. So lots of influencers here locally. Find one that makes sense for your event, for your brand, and ask if they can post about it. Some will do it for trade. Some might take some payment, but whatever works best for what you're going for. So what do you need part two? So for the events, we actually just use our laptops for most of them, but we have purchased webcams. You can get good ones for very affordable, like under $50 on Amazon or Best Buy, wherever you want to go. You will need a computer. Make fun backgrounds. Again, Canva is a great resource for that. We have purchased a microphone, like a podcast microphone. You don't need it, but it's an option. And then supplies for your event. So here's a couple of options or a couple of pictures of what we've done. So below here is a picture of our bingo board that we created and we use for all of our events. We have our trivia answer sheet over here on the right-hand side. And then another thing is just an example of a timeline that we've created. So create timelines for all of your events. I know it's not listed on here, but that's super important as well. All right, so back to market research, how to generate revenue virtually. So market research, start with a free event. Before you sink money into it, you're gonna have to spend a little bit of time about figuring out what it is that you want. You can survey people like, hey, what are you looking for? If you're hosting other events or other conferences, you can survey people about and ask exactly what they want. Are you wanting to do an event? Do you want to play a game? Are you interested in a happy hour? Different things like that. And try them out for free and see if they're actually going to work. Also, someone asked, what made us choose Zoom over the other platforms? Zoom is very user-friendly. It's very easy to use. It was easy to figure out. There's lots of options on Zoom, including the breakout rooms, which we use for lots of our events. There's, you can do the virtual backgrounds. There's just a lot of user options. So we did not test out any other platforms. I have hosted some events on WebEx. WebEx has made some updates for that are very similar to Zoom with the breakout rooms. I haven't actually used them yet, but might be for an event. But like I said, Zoom is just very user friendly. So that's personally why we do that. If you work for a company that has WebEx or Teams, then maybe that's the option for you. You already have it. So, yeah. So back to how to generate revenue virtually. You start with a public event, try and get sponsors or partners if you can, make it free to begin with. And then if it goes super well, try charging an appropriate amount. So again, for our public trivia, we charge $5 a person. So very affordable. And if they win, they get a $10 gift card. So they get their money back double. And then you can once you try that public event, whether it is free or you charge for it, you can segue into hosting private events. So prove that event works and it's worth spending that time and money on. And then you can start hosting it for private events, which is exactly what we did. 3, leverage your partner sponsors to pay you to run a virtual event for them. And some of it goes, it can go to, different programs, the youth programs, community centers. We hosted, like I said, some fundraising events. So we did take a payment from them to host the event, but the rest they were able to raise for their nonprofit. So it was just providing a fun event that they wouldn't have done otherwise. So a lot of people have galas that they can't, have had to cancel this year, or different in-person events that they usually host as a fundraiser. Figure out how to make it a virtual event instead. What can you do to help them out? Or if you yourself have an event, a fundraiser or an event in person, how can you take it virtually and make it make sense for your viewers? And then who to reach out to for hosting events. There's companies that have event budgets still that haven't been cut. Maybe they're not as much as they were before, but they still have those budgets that either they use or use it or lose it. And then a lot of companies base their next year's event budgets off of the previous year as well. So that's always something to keep in mind. They're going to have to use that money if they want to have a similar budget to next year or for next year. And then get sponsorships. So banks, real estate companies, construction companies, the people who are still in business. Lots of people are building houses. Lots of people are refinancing. Banks are still in business. Who are the companies that are still in business that can maybe sponsor an event or partner on an event? And then managing outsourced events, conferences, meetings, and more. This is something that we have done. Like I said, we just hosted an event this past weekend where we managed the back end of an event. We did not use Zoom for that event. There's it's called StreamYard. So if you don't necessarily want interaction on the event itself and you want it to look like a produced virtual event, check out StreamYard. It's very user friendly as well. So, but once you become an expert, if you will, on how to run a Zoom or a virtual event, you can then outsource those to other companies and manage the events, conferences, and whatever people need from there. So what else is there to do? So again, like I said, you can offer virtual networking. You can offer virtual tastings as we did with the whiskey class. You can do fundraising events. Rieger has a cocktail class. So, maybe you're a distillery or a brewery or somewhere that can offer classes. Make those digital, make them virtual. If you have a kitchen and you want to offer cooking classes, do that. Esports have gotten very big. So if you're in the esports world, you can offer those as an option. Holiday events. We hosted a kids costume party for Halloween where kids came on, got to show off their costumes because they weren't able to go trick-or-treating, but they could show off their costumes to other kiddos. And it was a big dance party. It was a lot of fun. We're talking about hosting a virtual Santa event. So anything around the holidays, whatever you can do to theme it, always a great idea. And then the last one on there is a job fair. So we helped host a job fair for the radio stations for Steel City Media. Again, So if that's something that your company currently does, you can take that virtual as well. Um, In-person and virtual events are the future. So virtual is not going anywhere. A hybrid of in-person and virtual events will be here to stay, I think, for a while. People have realized that it's very easy to jump on a virtual meeting. So they can schedule that very quickly and figure it out. Maybe they don't have time or don't want to travel halfway across the country to attend that in-person conference. So virtual is a great option for that. So why if you're wondering, you're sitting here and like, my company is not an events company. Why should I go virtual? Why should my company go virtual? Well, your clients or your staff are all stuck at home. A lot of businesses maybe don't have a large budget, or they have a very small team. So maybe you can't hire an events company to host a virtual event or virtual experience for you. So maybe you need to take it internal. Also, maybe you used to host happy hour events, but you can't anymore. And then you need to do something to boost team morale. So there's several different options. You can host a virtual happy hour. There's people who have done that. You can host a virtual networking event. Lots of options there. There's different games that you can figure out like on your own. There's a really cool game called Werewolf. I think it's like a card game, but you can host it virtually as well. The platform that you use doesn't have to be Zoom. There's lots of platforms out there. So maybe your company has a WebEx account. Do something through WebEx. You don't have to buy Zoom. Again, that's just what we use. But either way, start simple. If you do use Zoom, I know there's Zoom rooms that I've heard of other companies use, that they just open up a room that people can jump into at any time throughout the day to, coworkers can chat with each other. You can set up a 15-minute coffee or lunch chat that people are invited to just to see each other, just to chat with each other. Come up with, I've heard of people doing this, as long as it's not super distracting, come up with a bingo sheet to use during meetings or something interactive. So people can mark off, when a speaker talks, or every time someone says, I know I've said that about 15,000 times, people do it. Or if someone smiles, someone does whatever it is, you can put a bingo sheet together and have your employees mark it off to do during events, again, as long as it's not distracting. And then a lot of companies have hosted scavenger hunts. So that's super fun. You can do that either if people are in the office or if people are from home. So those are super fun. Research those. There's lots of different options that you can provide for virtual experiences for your employees or even your clients. Bottom line is times are tough. A lot of people are stuck at home and it's causing, depression and anxiety. So people need something to keep them occupied, something fun to do. So there's lots of different options for that. Just keep in mind, thinking back to the beginning, the Zoom fatigue. I don't want to offer one more thing that people have to jump online to do it, as long as it's something fun, as long as it's not just another, 30-minute meeting where you have to just sit there and listen to a presenter. Do something fun and interactive. Anyway, create a win and be the hero. That is the idea. You want to be, you want to be able to offer some fun for your clients, for your staff, or even for the public, whatever it may be. Thank you guys so much for giving me this time and listening to this presentation. If anyone has any questions, please post them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer them. Let's see here. Thank you so much, everyone. Doesn't look like we have any questions now. I will give everyone maybe just another minute in case anyone's typing away. Again, thank you so much for attending this. I hope you got some great information out of here. All right. Again, also at 2:30 today, if you're still on at 2:30 today, we are hosting a trivia. So if you know, need some interaction, join us for trivia today at 2:30. We're going to play 3 rounds. If anyone is interested in hosting events and they're interested about pricing, you can contact me. I'd be happy to get that over. But how to price events, obviously cover your time and cost, and then just what makes sense for your company to you know, to charge and cover your costs for any supplies that you may need as well. Yeah, so trivia today at 2:30. We're also hosting a bingo if you want to join and play some bingo tomorrow, mindless. If you just need an hour to shut off your brain, maybe trivia is not the best thing for that. But tomorrow is bingo. We're going to play a few rounds of bingo, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for attending this. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and enjoys the other presentations throughout GEW. Thanks, everyone, for having me.